Welcome to this tutorial on EKS Cluster Setup. In this video, we'll learn how to create Kubernetes clusters on Amazon Web Services. Amazon EKS, or Elastic Kubernetes Service, is a powerful managed service that makes it easy to run Kubernetes on AWS without the complexity of managing the control plane yourself. Amazon EKS is a managed Kubernetes service that simplifies running Kubernetes on AWS. You don't need to install or operate your own control plane, as AWS handles all of that for you. EKS provides several key benefits. First, AWS manages the control plane, ensuring high availability and security. Second, it comes with built-in security and compliance features. Third, it offers auto-scaling capabilities to handle varying workloads. And finally, it provides native integration with other AWS services, making it easier to build complete cloud solutions. Before we create an EKS cluster, let's review what you'll need. First, you need an AWS account with appropriate IAM permissions to create and manage EKS resources. Second, install and configure the AWS command line interface, or AWS CLI, on your local machine. Third, you'll need the kubectl command line tool to interact with your Kubernetes cluster. And finally, you should have either eksctl or Terraform installed, depending on which provisioning method you prefer to use. There are three main methods to create an EKS cluster. The first method is using the AWS Console, which provides a web-based graphical user interface for manual cluster creation. This is great for learning and understanding the process. The second method is eksctl, which is the official command line interface tool for quick EKS setup. This tool simplifies cluster creation significantly. The third method is Terraform, which uses infrastructure as code principles for reproducible and version-controlled deployments. This is ideal for production environments and team collaboration. Let's start with the AWS Console method. The process involves four main steps. First, navigate to the EKS service in the AWS Console. Second, click the Create Cluster button and enter your cluster details such as the cluster name and Kubernetes version. Third, configure networking settings including your VPC, subnets, and security groups. And finally, add node groups to define your worker nodes. Then review your entire configuration before creating the cluster. The second method uses eksctl, which is a simple command line tool for creating and managing EKS clusters. With eksctl, you can create a cluster with a single command. The command is eksctl create cluster, followed by flags for your cluster name, region, node group name, node type, and the number of nodes you want. For example, you might create a cluster named My Cluster in the US West 2 region, with a node group called Standard Workers, using T3 medium instance types and 3 nodes. This command handles all the complexity behind the scenes. For more complex configurations, eksctl supports YAML configuration files. This approach gives you more control and makes your infrastructure reproducible. The configuration file uses the eksctl.io/v1alpha5 API version and specifies the cluster kind. In the metadata section, you define your cluster name and region. The node groups section lets you specify details like the node group name, instance type, and desired capacity. Once you have your configuration file ready, you can create the cluster using the command eksctl create cluster-fcluster.yaml. The third method uses Terraform for an infrastructure as code approach. Terraform allows you to version control your infrastructure and create reproducible deployments. Using the Terraform AWS EKS module, you can define your cluster configuration in a declarative way. You specify the module source, cluster name, cluster version, VPC ID, and subnet IDs. Terraform modules simplify the process by providing pre-built, tested configurations. This approach is particularly valuable for production environments where you need consistent, auditable infrastructure deployments. After creating your EKS cluster using any of these methods, you need to connect to it. First, update your kubeconfig file using the AWS EKS update kubeconfig command. Specify your cluster name and region. This command configures kubectl to communicate with your new EKS cluster. To verify the connection is working, run kubectl get nodes. This command should display the worker nodes in your cluster. If you see your nodes listed, congratulations. You're successfully connected to your EKS cluster. Once your EKS cluster is created, it consists of several key components. The control plane is managed by AWS and provides high availability automatically. Worker nodes are EC2 instances that run your containerized applications. The VPC and networking components include subnets and security groups that control network traffic. And finally, IAM roles provide the necessary permissions for cluster operations. Understanding these components helps you manage and troubleshoot your EKS cluster effectively. You're now ready to start deploying applications on your new Kubernetes cluster.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.